Diversity is our strength, they screech, as if that settles the conversation by itself, like a magic talisman.
Diversity. We hear about it nonstop. It's the mainstream motto.
How precisely is diversity our strength? Since you've made this our new national motto, please be specific as you explain it. Can you think, for example, of other institutions, such as, I don't know, marriage or military units, in which the less people have in common, the more cohesive they are? Do you get along better with your neighbors or your coworkers if you can't understand each other or share no common values?
The problem comes from people who are different in race, language, religion, ethnicity, trying to share the same territory.
Look at Great Britain, look at France, look at Sweden. They have massive terror, crime, and disorder problems and cultural assimilation problems for one reason. They imported a bunch of people from a part of the world that doesn't share their values.
Look at the history of multiracial nations. It's a history of conflict, it's a history of distrust, and it's ultimately a history of blood and tears.
Latin American countries are changing election outcomes here by forcing demographic change on this country at a rate that American voters consistently say they don't want.
It sounds to me like we got a problem with people who got here legally altering the landscape politically. I don't like it. Fuck you. Stop it.
And notice where this change is not happening. Any place our leaders live. They caused all of this with their reckless immigration policies, and yet their own neighborhoods are basically unchanged. They look like it's 1960. No demographic change at all in their zip codes. Our leaders are for diversity, just not where they live.
I find, frankly, the kind of hypocrisy expressed by these alleged champions of diversity to be quite contemptible. They themselves can live in a way to insulate themselves from the brute strangeness of people that don't speak English or whose religion and culture are drastically different from theirs.
Hazleton's population was 2% Hispanic. Just 16 years later, Hazleton is majority Hispanic. That's a lot of change. People who grew up in Hazleton return to find out they can't communicate with the people who now live there, and that's bewildering for people. That's happening all over the country.
There is a campaign to make European Americans a minority in this country.
Their goal is to change your country forever, and they're succeeding, by the way.
We are being systematically and deliberately replaced.
You're a beneficiary of white privilege. Would that be hate speech? I'm attacking you because of your membership in a group. It could incite violence.
White privilege being taught at universities, which is meant to build up a stigma, build up hatred, and potentially pave the way for violence against white people.
As Vice.com succinctly put it a couple of years ago, quote, "It is literally impossible to be racist to a white person." Pretty much the entire left now takes that as a matter of faith. They deeply believe that. But what does that mean exactly?
But the real racism today is not by white people. It's against white people.
Terrorism may be bad, but raising doubts about multiculturalism is worse. Foreigners come to our countries and kill our people. You'd think our leaders would blame them, but no, they blame us who live here. They blame our history, they blame our culture, our opinions, our religion. It's our fault. That is their core assumption, and you see it in all they say.